I'm a novice beekeeper, and here's what I've discovered my first month being knee-deep in bees. Well, my first overwhelming revelation is just how friendly they are and how easy the process has been. So each week, my involvement with the bees has become less and less and less as I just learned to trust the process and understand that nature knows best. In the beginning, I was very kind of fretful about the experience with putting them into my top bar hive. I was nervous about the queen. Was she going to escape? Was she alive? I had so many questions. I didn't know if they were suffering or thriving. And every time I looked in the hive through my handy dandy little drop-down window, I just kind of saw a swarm of bees. There was no visible activity other than them just clustering, which I think I've learned is called festooning. I'm not positive. I'm trying to pick up a little bee vernacular here and there as I go along, but in essence what they were doing was creating their first comb. And there were just so many bees and so little comb that all I saw was a wall of bees. And this went on for a few days. I checked in on them often. And then I remember the very first time my daughter and I went out and we saw tiny little white fragments of comb through the mass of bees, and we were so excited. We thought, yes, it's working. And each day we went out, we saw more and more evidence of them building the comb. Interacting with the bees on a daily basis made me realize just how gentle they were, and I'm going to completely respect their ability to sting and their innate need to protect their food, their hive, and their brood. But at the same time, if I go in there with gentle intentions, they generally leave me alone. To the point where now my 11-year-old daughter has been kind of taking care of them. And basically what I mean by that is just watching them and interacting with them on a very low level. She took over feeding them, and we did feed them consistently for 2 straight weeks every day. We ended up putting together a sugar feed, which was a ½ pound of sugar, a ½ pound of water. I bought a simple feeder off of Amazon for a couple bucks. We would fill that up daily, and I was a little astounded that every time we went out, it was just drained dry. And I had read that providing the sugar feed in the beginning with a new colony like this was a really crucial step because this particular type of feed helps them with wax production. So just to kind of state the obvious or the not so obvious here, I basically have a glorified box that I dumped them into. You could basically order a package of bees or what they call a nuke, and I ordered the package, which I think is the most basic thing you can get. A nuke, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is kind of like a colony already started where the queen has comb and eggs and they have food and brood, and you're basically just kind of putting this into your pre-existing empty hive and they're already established. So beyond the feeding daily for 2 weeks, after that, I just saw that they were really bringing in a lot of pollen. We have a lot of flowers around here. I've always loved gardening, and I've kind of been building my yard up slowly with an eye and intention towards putting bee-friendly and bee-attracting plants into my yard. Ironically, I don't see them just kind of covering all of my plants the way I envisioned. I kind of thought now that I have bees, they're just going to be all over the plants that I know bees love, because local bees have always visited those plants. But honestly, I'll just see one here or there, but they are still doing their job and they're absolutely collecting. And again, I'm still kind of learning all of the terminology and what the bees do and how things work. So my describing of the situation is going to be really elementary. And you can either find that charming or obnoxious. Hopefully you'll find it charming and you can realize that keeping bees is so simple that anybody can do it. Another huge revelation is that I just don't want to keep bees the way most beekeepers want to. And what I mean by that is I more want to be neighbors with these bees. I basically just wanted to set up a warm, cozy, protective environment where bees can live. And then every once in a while, I want to knock on their door and ask if I can borrow some honey or some wax. I don't really have intentions of monitoring the queen, marking her, clipping her wings. I don't want to play God and navigate and dictate what this colony does. Honestly, anytime humans interfere, problems arise. And I'm really trying to mitigate my role with the bees. I want them to be in a natural state. I want them to do what comes naturally to them, and I just want to benefit by having them close by. So I am attempting to have a really hands-off approach, and I just more want to support the bees and check in every once in a while because they're just amazing and I find it very relaxing to watch them, but also to kind of learn enough about them that I can harvest some of what they create and generate without destroying the hive in any capacity. You know, if they want to swarm, I'm going to let them swarm. If they come to the point in their evolution where they naturally want to divide the hive, I want to be there to support them. I don't want to hinder it. I just want them to live freely and happily, and I want to respect them and just have very good accommodating neighbors. You know, I scratch your back, you scratch my back. Now, I could be jinxing myself. Things could get pretty hairy. I have no idea. I could be really in for it. I should maybe knock on some wood just to play it safe, but I can't foresee, barring some kind of insane emergency, where the tides turn and this becomes unmanageable. The only situation I could potentially see down the lane is wanting to keep multiple beehives in such a small space. I live in a very compact, tightly crammed suburban neighborhood. So far, no one has complained. I don't know if they are aware. The process has just been beautiful. It's been amazing. It's been exciting. I cannot wait to harvest my first honey and wax. It might be a while. I want to be very respectful of them having enough what they need to get through the winter before I intervene. So I might not even harvest anything this year. I'm not sure. Oh, I did want to say that in my previous and first bee video, I did talk about the dangers of bees taking nectar from rhododendrons, mountain laurel, and yellow azalea. I had read online that those three plants cause poisonous honey for humans, not for bees, but for human consumption. I read about how it's killed people before, and so that made me feel super edgy, but I ended up speaking to a very experienced beekeeper. She reassured me that the amount of nectar they would have to take from these plants was so large, and then the amount of honey that I would have to ingest to have any kind of effects was so great that the likelihood is basically this big. So she said, don't worry about it. Where she lives in particular, her whole mountainside is just filled with rhododendrons, and she never worries about it. She never has a problem. So once I heard that, it was almost like a huge weight lifted off my shoulder. Everyone, I think, should support bee culture, should increase the bee population. Everyone should stop putting pesticides on their flowers, their vegetables, their lawn. It's just not necessary. Let nature take its course and just be there to benefit from the symbiotic relationship between bee and human. I'm definitely going to keep you posted with more updates. I'll probably have more eventful updates as we move forward in time and the hive will be more developed, well established. For someone who's interested in a do-it-yourself situation, for someone who loves the idea of being self-sufficient or homesteading, I think beekeeping might be your entry level into that process, because so far it has just been an amazing, wonderful experience. So for now, I'm gonna sign off, but I'm definitely gonna have more bee videos in the future. Plenty of footage where I start utilizing the honey and the wax, and then maybe some how-to videos with things that I'm gonna make from the wax. So looking forward to those projects in the future. In the meantime, if you've enjoyed this video, if you could like and subscribe, it means the world to me. I would love to focus more on my YouTube channel, and your support is crucial for that. So until next time, bye.